Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to create this tumbler using some of the glitters from PDB Creative Studios Glitter Pack number 70. I know normally I use all 5 glitter colors on one single tumbler. However, I got these fulls from Southern Belle Glitter in the mail the exact same day as I did this glitter pack. And as you can see, those glitters match the fulls perfectly, even have the same name on one Sunflower Fields. So it was just a must to split them up and create 2 beautiful tumblers with different designs. I used my tumbler tool from CAMIPAIGE Boutique to create a very straight and level line around the bottom side of my tumbler. And then I'm going to go in with my full glue from Southern Belle Glitter. I'm going to do a pretty generous coat, however, well, let me take that back. Not a generous coat, because if you put too much on with any kind of glue, you're going to get some streaks. I like to build my coverage up, so I'm going to do 2 thin coats to get a little bit thicker so it will really grab a hold of our fulls. And y'all, how cute is the makeup brush from Cedar Creek Ranch Boutique? Wes sent these over to me about a month ago, and I love them so much I actually remember to wash them off. They come in a set of 10, all different sizes, so no matter what you're working on or how large of a space, you always have a brush to grab to apply your paints, your glitter glues, whatever you're working with. It's only 15 bucks for the set, so I'll have it linked down below for y'all with a $5 off coupon. So y'all be sure to check her out. Alright, so we went in with our heat gun on low heat setting. You don't want to get too close to really any of your paints or glues that you use, because you don't want them to overheat and bubble or crack. Same goes for this. If you apply way too much heat, then it can bubble up, and then that will compromise how well your fulls, glitters, whatever you're using will stick to this glue. So after we have applied our 2 coats, I'm just going to set that to the side and allow it to dry. I'm using my stand from CAMIPAIGE Boutique, and then here is Sunflower Fields from Southern Belle Glitter. I collaborated with Cindy at Southern Belle Glitter for a couple of floral patterned fulls. Not that she didn't already have some beautiful ones in her collection, but y'all know how I like my sunflowers and peonies, so we went with Sunflower Fields. And of course, you'll see one of the others in part 2. I'm just going to cut out a strip of the full, big enough to cover the area that we applied our full glue to, and fold over the bottom. If you're worried about using glue, because this stuff is super sticky, I have joked about you could probably throw your tumbler against the wall and it stick. It's some pretty great stuff. But I know some of you would rather use something like a double-sided tape. And no worries, I got you covered. We'll go over that in part 2. Now, I didn't really get the bottom side of this pressed down really well in those crevices, so we're just going to take this little bit of extra that we didn't use on the sheet and dab it around on the bottom until we fill in some of those areas. I did not want this to be solid. I wanted there some cracks and things like that in this, so I am going to allow some of that white to show through. I do wish I would have used a cream color as my base rather than white, so it's not like so bright, but I think in the end, after we add on some of our glitter, it helped pull it all together. And then of course our decals had some white in it as well. The 3 glitters that we're going to use for this tumbler is Magnolia Blossom, Painted Fern, and Sunflower Fields. But before we add on our glitter, I am going to paint a base using the Flippin' Awesome paints from Crystalac Company. We are using Clover and Spicy Mustard. Now to paint an ombre, I'm going to put both of our colors on here, so it'll be really quick to go ahead and add in that second color once I have my spicy mustard painted on. I have 2 makeup brushes handy, so once I have one color on, I can immediately go into the next without having to worry of washing my brushes off in between application. You want to move back and forth in a sweeping motion around the tumbler, and then once you get to the blending area, make sure you keep your paintbrush or your makeup brush in the same direction. Don't flip it, because if you flip it, then you can risk getting too much of that other color in the wrong section. We're going to go back and forth with both of our paintbrushes, again holding them in the same direction, so the side of the brush that is touching our ombre is going to continue to help blend those sections in together. I always do really thin coats, so this paint already dries fast, and with it being a thin coat, I do have to work really fast. So I quickly went over with the low heat setting with my heat gun to dry that layer up, and then we're going in with a second coat. Now to apply our glitters, we're going to use glitter glue, also from Crystal Company. But before we add those on, where we added on our full glue, there are some sticky sections down in between our fulls where we have those cracks and crevices. So I'm going to take Magnolia Blossom and kind of just rub it on like we would if we were doing the tack it method. It's going to adhere to any of those exposed sticky areas and just add some extra sparkle and flair to our full section. Set that to the side, and then we're going to use our glitter glue to apply our glitters. Now for this, I am going to use a pretty generous coat. A little bit of this glue does go a long way, but it also dries really fast, and I wanted to give myself a little bit of a work time. Normally I would use epoxy, especially if we're doing multiple glitters, just because it does give you a longer work time and really good adhesion for your glitter. But I really wasn't feeling mixing just a tiny bit of epoxy for this tumbler. This is the only one that I was working on at the time. So we're going to grab Sunflower Fields, and we're going to start at the bottom side of our yellow gold section. Go really heavy around the bottom side of it. We're going to tilt our tumbler and allow that glitter to fall down into our top section. Then we're going to do the same exact thing with Painted Fern. While we're working on a glitter application, let's talk about the glitter packs. PDB Creative Studio releases a glitter pack on the Thursday of the second full week of every single month. You can get them by being on the subscription list or a part of the group where you comment and claim your pack. You can also get them when they individually release. These have already been released individually on the website, and you can use BBS21 to save $5 off your order, so you can still save a little even on the individuals. Do you see how good of a match that is? I'm so glad I decided to do these two tumblers. They turned out so beautiful. So after I get my glitter on there, I am going to roll this up and flatten out that glitter so it minimizes the amount of epoxy we have to apply, as well as our sanding. I gave this 2 coats of epoxy, sanding in between the layers so we have a smooth finish to add on our decals. These rub-on transfers are from Southern Belle Glitter. I'm going to trim off the section I want to use, sort of map it out on the tumbler just a little bit, because I did want to cover up a little part of the seam from our fulls using the corner of the rub-on transfer. Once I kind of have that mapped out where I want it to be, then I'm going to add on our main decal first because I do not want these to overlap. Our Sweet Like Honey decal is from Gracefully Created, and I'm going to apply this using the hinge method. Just cut off a little bit of that backing, line it up on my tumbler where I'd like it to be, press the exposed piece down so it holds it in place, and then press the decal down as I am removing the back. We're going to do that same exact thing with our rub-on transfer. Once I have figured out where I want it to be so it doesn't overlap our decal, I'm going to trim off a little bit of the backing from it as well, and then use the hinge method to press it down with my extra large squeegee all the way around the tumbler. This makes sure that we don't get any bubbles underneath it and really holds it in place as you are pressing it down, because once these are stuck, they are not removable. Well, they are, but it would ruin the rub-on transfer if you had to remove it. Once that is on, we're going to use our wooden stick to really rub those transfers down onto the tumbler, and then we can remove that acetate sheet that is on top. I wanted to add on a couple more elements just to bring everything together. So I'm going to add on a couple of these small little elements that were on this sheet, and then we'll finish it off with our pinstriping. Once again, we're going to break out our tool from CAMIPAIGE Boutique to make a couple of stripes on the tumbler, so it just helps us get our pinstriping straight. For the pinstripes, we're using textured metallic gold from TECKWRAPCRAFT, and I believe these are a couple of sheets that I just had laying around. I always cut extra because I use a lot of these. So I believe these are cut to 0.08 and 0.04. After we finished our pinstripes, then it's time to add on our epoxy. I always finish my tumblers with 2 final coats to protect all of my decals and overall make it just more durable. I'm using a little extra incorporated turbo for my first of my 2 final coats, and then we'll finish it off with a little extra ink, regular epoxy. I think if you put this tumbler aside others that I have used different epoxies on, you can spot which one I used a little extra on from a mile away, because look at that shine. This was like 7:30 in the afternoon. The sun was setting, so wasn't the best lighting possible, but it is still literally like glowing. It has so much shine to it. Anyways, I love how it turned out. I hope you do too. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments for me down below and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. All materials I have used will be listed in the description along with some coupon codes for you. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you over in part 2.